Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to The Last of Us Reviews, Episode 7. I am the werewolf, Trasnell, and I'm joined by...
And then Mark Caster Domas.
I am the fatality, Taylor Field.
Taylor, where can they find everything we got going on these days? There's so much to count. There's so much to talk about.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerse is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook. Be sure to check it out this week as well because we've got Mandalorian Season 3 dropping.
Yeah. it
Another
just snuck
TV
up-
show.
Yeah, it just snuck up on me. It hasn't really... Doesn't feel like that's 3 days away, which is, I'm excited for it. Good thing is I'm not saying that's lack of excitement. Yeah. I just can't believe it's here. And then we got me and Dylan's been doing side quests this week. I've been finally locked in some Venom, so that's been fun.
Nice.
Good time there. Talking about some Suicide Squad, and then me and maybe Kirklin will be reviewing Creed. I don't know. He says he's gonna catch up. I don't know. He keeps saying, "Oh, I'm gonna catch up." He has that one movie. There'll be a GV pod, all that good stuff, and then the next week after there'll be a review of this. We only got 2 episodes left of The Last of Us, so
That's two? Only two?
only 2.
That's fucking crazy. For
Next
some
week is
reason.
the penultimate episode, Dylan. The next
Oh, yeah. So you're just frothing at the mouth.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite.
Can't wait
type
for
of
next week.
episode.
You can drop that word multiple times. Taylor's going to be dropping his notions. You'll be
Notions,
dropping
yeah,
the penultimates. It'll be a
Yeah.
good time.
So before we get to that one, Dylan, what do you think of episode lucky number 7?
Oh, yeah. I kind of blindsided. Like, obviously, I know that there's 2 episodes left. The fact that you said that, I'm like, oh my god, there's not much time left to do things. Not that I know exactly what's gonna happen because I'm a little foggy on the game, but yeah, I don't. This episode did very little for me. I can't even say it's bad. It's one of those things where I look at my notes and it's just a graveyard, and that is, to me, is always a sign that I just have very little passion in this thing, right? Because whether something's very good, very bad, or just very mixed, that's always a good sign. If I have a ton of notes, okay, there's a ton of things I want to talk about. I love talking about little details and random little things. So I just have like nothing. There's not really much for me to say. I think in some ways, to me, this is like almost. It's hard to call it an equivalent to episode 3, but there is some similarities, and I think just if I compare it to that, it's way weaker. I don't think there was great tension in this episode. And ultimately, I just don't feel like I really needed it. I don't know if it gave me much. So I'm curious to hear you guys' take, but I don't even dislike it. I just feel nothing towards it, unfortunately. So I guess the disappointment for me comes a little bit that 2 episodes left, and I feel like I would have rather spent 16 minutes doing something else than what we got in this episode. So that's where I'm at this week.
All right, fair enough. Taylor, where do you lie?
I actually really, really enjoyed this episode. I liked the pacing of it. I liked the development that we could see unfold, and I felt like it concluded in a strong way that we could kind of formulate like the outcome of like, okay, well, we know how things have gone now. We can kind of like we can go into the next episode and continue on with this story, thinking like, okay, yeah, this just obviously seals the deal here, and we're aware of what's going on. But I think that there was a lot of good heartfelt moments in here that, again, following up with last week's episode, it ended on that cliffhanger, like serious, like, oh my god. But this just had some really good, like, humbling humanity stuff, and that's what Last of Us seems to be doing. It just gives you an episode with humbling, happy stuff, and then it just throws the knife at you, and you just like, oh god, there's a little bit of like brutal, apocalyptic stuff right here, and it's just hard to digest, and it's just it's just an eye opener at times. There's a few things actually Easter egg wise that I'm actually really excited to talk about. Not the games, because I not game wise, but like real life
tell
things.
us. Yeah,
You
real life
put your
things.
hands up. You're like, I'm innocent. I didn't do.
You lied about game Easter eggs freeze. I think I'm much more like I am the people the first few weeks. I always liked episodes, went back and forth, but like I said, there was that meme of like each week everyone saying, "Oh, it's the best episode," and like, "Oh, every episode can't be the best," and that's just where I am every week because I'd have to really think about it because I loved last week, but I loved this one as well. I had a really great time with this one. I liked that it was just this kind of what I like is it's not a full on, it's like it's a prequel, but it's not like what we got with Joel where it is the before the incidents, a little before. This is this pocket where it's like somewhere in the middle of when she met Joel, and obviously not too far off because she doesn't seem like she's that much younger or something like that. But I think I like seeing again the world kind of function as far as we get a little bit of that Joel in the premiere, but we get to see how it's functioning with the Fireflies. Get to see what it's functioning with. There's like a school kind of there that has semi energy and not so much. I love. Oh, I guess I'll save some stuff for spoilers, but I like seeing the inner workings of the world in a post-apocalyptic way from the point of view of a child. I like that, or just a younger teen and stuff like that, because also once you're adult, you've done jobs before, so they go, okay, this is what you're doing and stuff. So I like that aspect. I think that Storm Reed was fantastic in this episode. I'm a big fan of her in Euphoria. I like her a lot, and she was in Suicide Squad for a little bit. And I think I've seen her in something else. I've never seen that Wrinkle of Time. Maybe I think she's in that, but I really like her, and I think you're gonna see her in a bunch of stuff down the road, just killing it. So I think they had good chemistry. I had fun with this episode. So yeah, to me, this was like, I think this was the perfect placement to put it. There's some stuff they did at the beginning of this episode I was kind of surprised, but I think this is the equivalent to the first 45 minutes of that premiere that we got of Joel. This is that for Ellie, in my opinion. It's kind of that. Now, I think it's needed because, one, you get to see how much. We'll wait. I enjoyed the episode a lot. I had a really good time with it, and I loved it. I think this is the same way as last week was Pedro's best episode. This was probably her best episode as well. Bella Ramsey was a big focus on her. So yeah. Anything else? As I said to them onto the mic.
No, all good.
Okay, well, we'll take our first ad break, and then we'll be right back. So if you've not seen the episode, come back later, and we'll be sitting there waiting for the feed. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So we're in the spoilers. People play the game, I'm sure they said, but I almost like spoiled deaths willy-nilly there and non-spoilers. It's just word diarrhea and stuff like that. So word vomit, I guess. Either way, it's just spewing.
Not good out of the mouth.
No, it's not good. But yeah. We want to start at the beginning with where Ellie's hanging out and everything.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Take it away.
I thought you were saying that. But no, I like the situation as far as, okay, I feel like it fits the character. And similar to the DLC where you're seeing this character, she has issues with authority, she has issues with other people her young age and stuff like that. So I think you feel, even though you don't really get to meet her family or anything like that, it already feels that she's isolated. And I think obviously what happens at the end of this episode is heartbreaking, but I think that's where it's good to introduce Riley, because there's not anybody here that she's really attached to, not really anybody she can understand. And I think the second that Riley gets introduced in the show, to me, I feel like there's a fun chemistry, playfulness. They bounce off each other great. You can see they have similar interests and everything, and that kind of goes throughout the episode. But that's what I liked. I liked the dichotomy, and I liked them trying to be like, okay, which was weird. He has his cup and he has the keys of like, okay, well, you could be whatever, someone that's not on the patrol, or you could be like a police officer, which I kind of like the later on. And I think that's what I like the Riley character, as far as she's making, I feel like at this point in Ellie's story, she's just going along. She has her attitude, but she's going along. She's making her question the idea of the society versus the Fireflies and stuff like that, as far as, okay, there ended up being an infected in there, but they were told, hey, it's just riddled with infected in the mall, so don't go in there. Same thing with this idea of presenting Ellie with these jobs. It could be this or this, but then when Riley got this certain job, it's like, okay, that might just be the sales pitch. So I liked everything from seeing where Ellie was, and then kind of that beginning of Riley and Ellie kind of comparing notes, and Ellie very rah, fuck the Fireflies, where once we kind of get the middle end, it's kind of changed, I think, a little bit for her as far as questioning, okay, what is real and what's not. And I feel like that goes towards the character that we've seen right now, like her in the show, is questioning things and stuff. So
yeah, I guess I felt like it was just maybe too surface level for me, where they set up this element of, what are we calling like Ellie's people? Like, was there really a name for?
They have a name.
They said something, yeah.
Something with the QZ or some group.
Yeah. Okay.
They had some section or whatever. Yeah.
Sure. Well, whatever it is, the kind of us versus them mentality, and then Riley's kind of gained perspective, and we understand why she left, and then got that perspective on the way, but. I guess, yeah, for me, it was just a bit too surface level. I liked the kind of propaganda angle of it, where, like, towards Ellie, the way she just, like, vehemently defends these people against Riley without really knowing, but it's just how, she's been raised that way, lived in this place, been told all this stuff. She's meant to believe it. But yeah, to me, it didn't really go much beyond that, and it didn't feel like we're ever gonna see what the dynamic between that place and the Fireflies are in the future. So it just felt like, okay, I don't really see why we're going down this route. But yeah, I thought it was fine. That's gonna be my synopsis. Of most things here is it was fine.
I was just waiting for the moment that we see how Ellie gets infected, and I was anticipating like, okay, we're gonna have the infected just like attack this QZ, and we're gonna see her trying to survive and just get bit or something like that. And I'm so happy that that's not the case, because I feel like we already got that a few times, and this is just a very nice change of pace. Seeing that kind of like layout of like, oh, you know, she mentions it later on, like we're the future kind of a thing, and you have just this girls class, probably boys classes too, I imagine, for the youth. And once you get that 17 age, then you're divided up into your duty, which I understand how that would kind of like that would work, but that it's something that they kind of is a theme that they've used in other things. I think like what was that movie called? City of Ember or whatever it was with Bill Murray. It was
City
like
of Ember, big pull.
City. Yeah, you graduate from class and then you're basically handed off with a job, which I thought it seems to be like the go-to apocalyptic survival.
Yeah, they kind of do that Interstellar as well, right? They're like, your son will make a great farmer, and it's like, well, he's better than that. But like, oh, well, no, he's gonna be a farmer. Like everybody's dedicated to. You're not going to school to pick your trade. You're going to school so they can view like what's best for you, and they make that decision for you. Which, not a great life, but you know.
No, and I like that Ellie has that presentation to her, like, oh, you know, we could pick you to be a leader. It could be you, and I mean, she could lead the promised land in the future. Who knows? But I think that how it kind of turned out, and she just wanted to, you know, kick the shit out of that girl for taking her music and just like picking fights. I think it goes hand in hand with her character and everything that we've seen her up until this point, just being
the Sony Walkman, the product placement there.
Oh,
I didn't catch that it was a Sony Walkman. I didn't see that. That's good. They got maybe the sales are gonna go through the roof after this episode. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure those are still on the market over at Radio Shack or something.
You never know, because I don't necessarily agree with it, but I know a couple months ago there was like me and Emily were in the car and on the radio they're like, cassette tapes are the new hit again, and that was like I think they're trying to push that again, and I guess there were people actually buying cassette tapes, but I was like, I have no interest in going back that way.
I guess they're following like, okay, vinyl became popular again, people listened to that form of music, so like what came after that it was cassettes, so let's go back there.
But I'd love to see someone packing the Walkman on their belt, the fanny pack, the pager.
You start it.
That could be you, Taylor.
You start it,
yeah, you start walking around with it, listen to all the podcasts on your Walkman, which will be extremely difficult because you'd have to do
I gotta burn it onto the cassette and play it on the Walkman.
Yeah, but you know, maybe this starts to come back and everything like that. But yeah, then we get to Riley. I like the introduction. How she puts her hand over her mouth and she's like, I thought you'd find that funny. It played differently in my mind. I like that. So, Dylan, you said most things are fine in this episode. Was Riley another just fine thing? How did you feel about Riley and that relationship? Obviously, we get a lot of it in the show throughout the episode, but just the introduction of the character. She's a firefly. That's why she hadn't seen Ellie in months and stuff like that.
3 weeks, I think, wasn't it?
Okay, 3 weeks. Almost a month. Almost a month. I'm still thinking about the Walkman, you know? So.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that actress because as I sent you guys a picture of this, but Mia Mudd's just started Euphoria, so she hasn't really done anything too extravagant in that show in the first 2 or 3 episodes that we've seen. But it was cool that I recognized her from that. But yeah, once again, like I just when it came down to it, when we're getting like, I was kind of skipping right to the end, but when you have this emotional scene, I guess I just didn't really have much reaction to it. And I think maybe the problem for me is this episode just felt too predictable. And I don't know. I'm not even saying that this is like exactly how it went in the game because I truthfully did not know anything about the DLC.
It's pretty similar. Like I'm sure there's some differences that somebody like Travis, you didn't catch this. It was, but I feel like the overall beats.
Go to the mall. That's probably the big set piece and stuff like that.
The mall, the dancing, the kiss, like all the big set points of this they hit on. So
but
like Riley didn't live or something.
I didn't have that context going in, but I still felt like I knew exactly where this thing is going. And then probably halfway through is when they show the infected, and then you like that kind of even just confirmed it too. That I guess we're just gonna wait around for that. And so there was a little bit of tension there. It's like, okay, well, when is this infected gonna pop up? Like every time they made a noise, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
is this gonna be the thing that sets them off? Of course, the arcade, that seemed like a great time when it could sneak up behind them or something like that. I get it didn't reach like a 10 out of 10 level tension for me. It was just kind of middling, waiting for that moment to rise up. But yeah, I guess in terms of the story element of it, I think for me the better part of it was just Ellie's little reactions. You know, like the little smirks she had, or the way she would look at her when she wasn't looking back at her and stuff like that. You could just see the love in her eyes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess when it came down to it, that final moment just didn't really do much for me. It didn't have that big emotional. The way I was tearing up in episode 3 and just like couldn't pull myself together. For this, I was just like, all right, I guess I saw that coming. I also felt too. I maybe wanted to see a bit more. I guess this is me being a bit greedy, but like I kind of wanted to see her transforming and like where Ellie was at that point. Were they together when she transformed? Because I don't think we'll ever get that at this point.
No, I don't think
and
so. No.
yeah, so I kind of wanted to see what would have happened there, and maybe that is one of those things where it's better to leave it unshown and you just kind of picture in your head. But like I kind of wanted to see how that went down. Were they still in the mall? Where was she? Did she give her more info on terms of finding the Fireflies? Did they just stay in the mall? I don't know. Whatever it was, I don't know what I wanted to see. I guess I just felt like when credits rolled on this episode, I was like, oh, that was it. So I guess that's where I come down to on it. Yeah.
Well, two things from Superman Mike said. This was the only episode written entirely by Neil Druckmann without Craig Mazin. Yeah, that was a big thing this week. And I think that's just because I think he cares a lot about Ellie and that character. And I feel like that's why we didn't get, because you don't get in the game, I feel like that's why we didn't get the, her turning into a clicker or an infector or anything like that. And then, like, what would happen? I think he wants for Ellie that memory to be more about like that night of them together in love. Even though I agree with you that I think there's some interesting stuff of, okay, what happened? What's the point that she realized that she's not infected? Like, because she's waiting around and stuff like that. But I think that's what they're trying to show is like, okay, it's like whatever happened after that, it was about more this lost moment. And that's stuff that will play into stuff in the future. I'm not saying like you're going to see the Riley clicker running around, just like emotionally that gets touched upon.
Comes back in the finale.
Yeah, Joel. She's mine. It's the same. They just took all the combat. Yeah, and they did. Much like most of the game, right? They've took a lot of the combat stuff because it's just, and I know some people, I think that's the most criticism I see of the show from some people of like, there's not enough of that going on, but I guess I don't miss that. I mean, I guess it's different because I'm someone that's played the game. Even I feel like gamers are saying that, but I just like, I don't know. I feel like, again, that's where I played Last of Us for the characters, right? And for the journey they're on, not so much of I can't wait to go zombies. Like, speaking of a mall, like, that's why I would play the first Dead Rising. Like, that's a game where it's like, yeah, I'm going to go just to mess up zombies. But to me, this was the journey. But yeah, this, Dawn of the Dead, oh, God, there's the classic other one, too. Like, malls and zombies, not a good combo. Always bad stuff happens there,
Can we at least agree that this was like the least interesting combat sequence in the show thus far?
With the clicker, yeah.
It's like 15 seconds long. It's like, no, I don't know. It didn't need to be anything grander, but I don't know. It didn't do much for me.
Fortunately, just they gave this girl a gun, and they clearly did not give her the training along with it. 'Cause I'm sorry.
But she hit it once in the gut. It's just it doesn't do anything.
They should have at least told her like you got to hit in the head, and like I feel like
they completely failed.
They did. Like you have these girls running around in gyms like, oh, we're gonna be garbage duty and all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. You live in the post-apocalypse with these zombies. You need to tell them headshots are how you do this. Train them. This is the living is your best weapon. And what does Ellie do? She goes for that gut shot. I'm thinking no. Like,
this I think is supposed to insinuate her first. Like, they don't know how clickers work. Like most of you, if I were to stab you in the gut like that,
well, that's true. That's why they got to educate before though, because.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know the kids are going to sneak out. It's unfortunate.
Well, I think that's part of the thing that they don't, I guess, insinuate too much with this, but I feel like that's what they kind of are doing. I think that's what Riley's trying to put forward, that place that Ellie's at is just very much trying to protect her and just that guy's telling me like, oh, you can have a good life, all these things, but not really like sitting her down and like, hey, like it's gonna be the best. You can make the best of the situation, but it's still shitty out there. It's still scary. It feels like the place where Ellie is, and even though yes, Riley wasn't going for the headshots and whatnot, but I feel like she was trying to go that route of like, hey, like this place isn't gonna give you what you need, not even emotionally, but also just like just living wise, you know, like it's not gonna give. They're not, and if they're gonna make it that same thing, if Riley would have just stayed there for the sewage, again, she did survive, but like that's not gonna. Yeah, she didn't survive. I mean, she's not gonna learn any clicker taking out skills. Maybe some other employee might know them and stuff like that, and
Well,
everything. So
to be fair too, like that, the set that they were in, like obviously it was unexpected, but there was like 10 feet between them and the clicker when it came out, and it moves fast, right? Like this is not like a slow, like you know, straggling along zombie that's dragging one leg on the ground. So I mean that would be a hard instant headshot to get anyway, especially when the thing's moving as quick it is and it's as close to it as it is. But Taylor thinks he could do it though.
yeah,
easily.
he's ready to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I thought they were gonna go into the haunted house, like little maze area there for a second. I thought that's where we're gonna get like a zombie land where
It's where the budget ran out.
what's his name goes in not Wichita,
Tallahassee.
not Tallahassee. In the first one, he
Ohio,
goes-
Colombo.
I think it's Columbus. He goes into the haunted house and the things are jumping out and he's like, "Fuck!" And there's actual zombies that follow him. In. I thought they were gonna go in there and the clicker was gonna come at them, but I was as we were getting through in the set, I started to think like, okay, like yeah, this isn't just like a set like piece that they recreated here. Like, okay, they actually took over a mall. And I Google it, and yeah, sure, all this is in Calgary, of course, but the fact they actually took
it looked
the mall,
amazing.
it was fantastic. That'd be such a fun set piece to create and just to walk
yeah.
around. And I want to go to the Northland Village Mall because it's just over yonder. But I really wish
Over
that
yonder.
GameStop didn't rebrand because it would have been cool just to see the Canadian stuff in there specifically. But there was GameStop in the backdrop as they were walking, which I thought was very funny. The lights like flickered. It just would have been cool to see EV Games in there.
But
So-
it said GameStop, right?
It said
Everything?
GameStop, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
what
like
year
AEW.
was it when things went sour? Was it 2000? 2001?
In the show, 2003.
In the show.
Yeah. I thought you
Okay,
meant
so
I thought you were talking about like for EV Games.
No,
Like, they
yeah, that was
rebranded,
recent. But that would have been fun, you know. Would they've decked it out with some GameCubes, throw some Game Boy Advances in there? What would have been
Oh, yeah.
PS2 era?
Sick.
Get some game like what Crash Bandicoot, like get all the accurate games there. That would have been fun.
Ellie just comes back stacked with all these games and everything. And they're like, hey, I saw the love of my life die, but I got a GameCube with Luigi's Mansion. So
Well, yeah, even like
Kinda
when they were
worked
playing
out.
Mortal Kombat 2, but like what would it have been on Mortal Kombat 5 or something at that point, actually? Because that obviously the arcade version
Yeah.
would have been that, but actually if they
Yeah.
went to the game store, would have been a later version.
yeah,
Because we're going into 12 now. They just announced that.
I've lost count. Like I even felt like back then where I guess 10 was a couple years ago because it was X and there was like Voorhees and stuff like that. So of course it's always
Classic X.
Yeah, always the X. Yeah. Then SPUB saying you're not seeing Joel kill hundreds of people every day, and yeah, that's why I'm kind of fine with the action because like you in a video game you have to do that, right? There has to be obstacles, enemies, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think it helps this show for not Joel to also just be a beast all the time, but just taking out people and things like that. Oh shit! I was gonna say something. It wasn't. I also thought about when you brought up the haunted house. I thought about same thing in Dead Rising. There's like a clown haunted house sort of thing and everything like that. But
God, I want to play
um,
Dead Rising now.
they got to remaster that, like a remake remaster, sort of like give it a whole once over stuff like that. New controls. Like I'd love to replay that.
Maybe
and not-
optionally turn the time thing off so you can just screw around without having to worry about that.
Oh God, what a choice! But I get it. But back to this episode. So I really liked what Storm Reed did here. I think my only critique is I think I agree with them where the clicker fight is not too like it's not I wouldn't say top tier of the show. I think though because we saw. I think the trope, because a lot of shows do this, and I can't remember how it is in the game. So I'm sure in the DLC maybe it's like this, so they wanted to recreate it. I'm over the trope. They did this with Tess. They did it with these two, and I feel like it's done one other time of the bite off screen and then the reveal of the bite. I feel like we've seen that already too much in this season. And because that happened with, like I said, and I feel like there's one other one that happened at some point that I'm trying to think of.
Oh, with the kid.
It's even Sam, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of happened. So it's like, and even then, it's always their undercar. And we never see it happen. And now, like I said, I don't think it happens in the DLC, but I hope when one of these things happens soon that they show a bite or show that infection moment, because I feel like that's still like a powerful moment of, I get the reveal that is also lots of emotion coming, but seeing, I'm not saying they have to die, but seeing that bite, because then you know in that moment, man, that person's gone, So
Yeah, if they do it
I think-
again, that would be a bit too much.
I think they might. I don't know if it's this year, but I feel like in the show, and that's where it's just like maybe next season will be fine. But I think I've hit my quota of the like revealing of the bite, and it's just because it's happened. We were only 7 episodes, and even then, that's 4 characters in 7 episodes. You know, so I hope no more. I'm good on the bites and stuff like that. Let's show the vicious deaths going on and stuff like that. You know, so that was my only critique with the fight and everything like that. No, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask what you guys did. You like where they ended it? Or like, obviously that we go back to present day with Ellie and Joel and whatnot. But did you like that where they cut it exactly, where you didn't get to see what goes on exactly there? They're just holding hands, fades away, and then I mean the episode ends with the Joel and Ellie holding hands, so there's a bit of a contrast there, comparison. But do you guys like where they cut it, or did you want to see any more?
I was kind of surprised they showed this at all, because in the game he gets stabbed and then you fade to black, and then there's like a big section where you just play with Ellie and you don't know if he made it or not. In the video game for a while, you don't know if he's alive. It's just her by herself. So they still, I guess, can kind of do that next week if they want to, because you can insinuate maybe he didn't make it. But I actually would have liked it if they didn't have any of that stuff, because I really like that set piece playing in the game of you're playing and you want to get to Joel, you're enjoying playing as Ellie, but the whole time, because they play it off in a way where Ellie could just be alone now too. It's not in the sense that it's very wishy-washy, like in a good way, but this I think gives me the sense of, hey, for sure. But it's a lot different, I guess, with a game versus a show, right? Because Pedro's in previews for the next few episodes and stuff like that. So with that in mind, I liked it enough. I liked the relation to Joel, like you showed with the hand. So I think it worked for the show.
How about the cutoff of like where they cut it off with Riley and Ellie?
Yeah, I was fine with that.
Yeah,
It worked there. Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that where they cut it off, I kind of alluded to in my non-spoilers portion. I think that it fit. I can kind of appreciate how we can kind of we can stand with Ellie in that sense, like you said, Travis, where she just has this nice positive, like the experience of being there and not the fallout of that, and just them, I'm assuming, going on the run together and just
and not leaving a
changing.
person either, too, because that's the whole thing with Joel, right? He tells her to go and he doesn't, so you would insinuate even if he's gonna die, she's gonna stay there with him like she did with Riley. So
yeah. As for the ending, actually, though, the episode, I think it was great. I wasn't expecting to go back to it, so when it cut out of that flashback and she was going back up the stairs and just looking for anything at all just to help, yeah, I thought it was great. Just when she leaves and she's going upstairs and Joel's just, man, Pedro is fucking fantastic, because the way he's just there and he's like, the tears coming down his eye and he's just quivering and just he's like grimacing and like grabs onto her shoulder as she's like sewing him back up. Oh my god, he's such a good actor. Holy shit,
he's not bad, eh?
I feel like they actually did stab him. Like, okay, we're gonna just stitch you up live on set. Bella Ramsey, get in there. So
yeah. No, I hope I never have to do that, you know? I don't know about my accuracy. I got really shaky fingers, and I just feel like sewing enough would be bad, but sewing a person's skin?
That's a lot of pressure, for sure.
It is, yeah, because if you do it bad and they got a bad scar, they're always going to look at it and be like, man, Travis really fucked up.
I know the I don't know, not a thimble. The needle is it was straight. That was the most brutal thing there, because you got to kind of bend it so it's like a fish hook. That way you can like fish hook it through the wound a bit better. So
I'm picturing her using a thimble to do that and just like
No.
gashing it through.
There's no thimbles here. And Joel's just like, what's going on up there? This girl and whatnot. But yeah, they bookended that way. I like this shot. I like the opening shot a lot of just this trail of blood to the cabin with the snow and everything like that. So I think it was a good build up. And this little section I'm looking very forward to next week. It's a really good kind of set piece game sequence and everything like that. So there's fun stuff there. And then we're already into the finale. But yeah, no, and on the mall, like obviously that's from the game, but like what Taylor talked about, the same thing. I just in the middle, I'm like, man, because there's been a lot of shots. I think it was last week on Twitter. I don't know if it was entertainment site or if HBO released it, but they released this a bunch of these shots from the show that were completely just them on a blue and green screen. And we talk about bad effects all the time. Like it was like completely some of the city shots that we'd be like, man, this looks so good. It's great to be there. It's like just completely not real. So it's like it's great when people have time to work on it. But that's what I liked about this is I think it's I wonder too. Like, I feel like for people that have no idea this is coming and have no idea of the game, DLC stuff like that, I feel like it is like a good, memorable set piece of where Ellie would lose like a love, because like this idea of not only the mall but the little venture they go on, the Five Wonders. We get to see how she got the second pun book that she's been carrying around this season. So I kind of like that too, where there's like a little lines. It's like a web, like a web diagram. Is that what I'm thinking of, right? A web. Like, would start in the middle. Graph, and then it's like a bunch of branches off. Remember inspiration?
Sure.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a web
Oh, yeah.
diagram?
Inspiration. My mom was like telling me to use that. I had some learning issues here or there, and she was like, "Oh, this is gonna help you out so much." I never really used it, but
You never even tried it? To see if
I
she was
tried
right?
it, but I don't know. It didn't solve my my problems that I had.
I don't think is it around anymore, because I went to go use it a few years ago and I loved inspiration. It was a great like early Travis like screenwriting tool. Oh, both men are looking right now. We'll see who gets the victory here. But anyways, I think
They're
it's
on
a
10 apparently. Inspiration 10.
Really? That's
It looks
awesome.
like it's still kicking it.
Oh, I gotta download
Never
that
heard of
shit
this
tonight.
before.
Oh, you
I've
haven't?
used a similar one called Mind Map. It's pretty good. You can check that one out too.
Yeah, it was great. It's great for story writing and stuff like that, because you get the main idea and then like the little
Yeah.
slides like, oh, do this and that. So, but anyways, that's a web diagram, right? That's what I'm thinking of. I'm right on that. It just sounds
Sure.
wrong.
Yeah,
Web
yeah.
diagram.
That
But
works.
anyways, that's what I like, where it feels like, or when it's in a crime drama, there's like the picture of Ellie and there'd be all those strings connecting them. I think this episode did a lot of those. But yeah, I had the same thought of Taylor. I just looked around this thing like, oh, this is super cool. They did such a good job. It in no way looks like, I imagine that shot when the lights come up and Ellie looks forward. I imagine that CG and stuff, because they had to like make it all look decaying. But the rest of it, the fact that they just went and get the mall, probably shut it down for a week or two, and I don't know how that went for that city and everything like that.
Yeah.
But it just a good set piece. I think it's a memorable set piece, and it's something we haven't. Like, we've seen some electricity, and we got the most of it last week, but I feel like in this show so far, it's been very lots of green and brown. You know, you're either in a dirty area or a green area, and now white with the snow and stuff like that. So to have like actual colors, the flicker and the light, I really liked everything they did here. Again, based off the game, but I think they brought it to life very well, and I liked the set piece. So
I wonder if they offered to, because they're shutting down this mall, and like Subway, like you're gonna have to close this location for
Yeah.
a week or something. Do you think they actually paid them, or just like paid them in exposure? Like, oh, you're gonna have this big moment in this TV show, or there's a Subway sign, and people are gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna go get Subway after this.
I think they
Also-
pay him.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding around. Macho Nacho, is that an actual place?
Macho Nacho.
That's
why
where
I
they
know
s-
I-
Mucho Burrito is a place we got here.
Yeah,
Never
that's where they
Macho
stopped,
Nacho.
which maybe that's like a US thing and they like put it
Yeah,
in
it
here to
is.
make it feel like US, but I don't recognize that as a Canadian thing.
This is Macho Nacho, straightforward counter serve offering Central American dishes, including tacos and burritos. I don't know if there's any combo, but the first thing when you search up is Macho Nacho Gaming. So I'm not sure if there's like an arcade in it or something. But honestly, though, now I'm really hungry for some Mexican food. When I go there and then I look at these images, got some good
Telling you,
nachos
man, it
going on
works.
there.
I saw A&W in the background. I'm like, damn, I
Yeah.
could go for a root beer.
Panda
right now.
Express.
They got a cool logo. It's a Torito chip, and then he's like got the guns out and everything like
Nice.
that. Yeah, looking good. If anyone's had Macho Nacho, please let us know in
Yeah,
the comments or
let us know.
whatever. I'd like to know how good it is. On Google, it's what's the rating? 4.4. Look at that, 4.4 out of 5.
That's fine.
717 ratings.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I
It's
would
better
go
than
with
we have on Apple ratings or whatever it is. Apple
Yeah.
Podcasts. So
that. Yeah, but if we had 717, maybe we would go review us Apple Podcasts.
yes,
5
help
stars.
help us beat Macho Nacho.
Yeah, and be a real hero. Go leave us a 5-star and say something about Macho Nacho in the review. Like say Geek versus Great, blah, blah, blah. By the way, Macho Nacho, then give your review there.
Yeah.
But if you don't like Macho Nacho, don't give us a 1-star because of that. Just we want to hear your tale.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah. Anything?
I like the
go ahead, yep.
I like the screenshot joke. Then when they were going through the joke book, you mentioned that, but I like the screenshot joke. And yeah, Taylor, you mentioned Easter eggs. Was it the EB Games or were there other Easter eggs?
It
as
was
well?
it was the GameStop, yeah, and just seeing like the body shop, just a lot of those familiar places. I thought that like it's just so cool just to see that. And in lieu of what you're saying, like, do you think it's like marketing and that kind of stuff? I feel like they would have to pay a pretty big penny to close down the mall for this much detail, because
yeah.
that was the thing that clicked. Like, okay, like this is definitely not a green screen or anything like that. This is a real set piece. This is a real mall. And then just looking at the scene and seeing how much detail they put into everything going on there. The Halloween store definitely dates the recording of this, I would say, too, because those Halloween stores are usually seasonal, unless they just chose just to go with it with the script. Is that something from the game?
Yeah, but like, wouldn't it, if it's seasonal, if I can't remember when the attack happened, but like, wouldn't, if it happened in October, would they not move the store out of there, right?
Well, usually
just-
Halloween
They're
stores,
like, this is priority. We need to take down our Halloween store.
I think like a Spirit Halloween equivalent. Like they look for that building that's going up for lease or liquidation, and they're gonna sneak in there for the Halloween season. I feel like Halloween stores usually pop up during October, September, and then they bounce. So I feel like this
Yeah,
would have been
but-
filmed then, unless it's in the game. If it's in the game, that they totally use this as like they set it up intentionally.
Okay, I think I'm misunderstanding what you're talking there. Like, I thought you're trying to say, like, why does this mall have a Halloween store? I'm like, well,
No,
clearly
no.
it's just, and yeah.
I mean, it justifies like when it was when they filmed there.
No, they had to go get that stuff. So if I can recall, let me go do a quick search. But I feel like those masks, great masks, by the way. That's what my name, the werewolf, the clown, everything like that. So, but I feel like that is something last DLC. But yeah, and then I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We didn't really have too many characters in this episode and stuff like that. Ellie found some bombs and stuff they were making. I actually really like so they have the Halloween store as I'm looking, but I feel like it's like they find some, it's pretty Halloweeny and stuff like that. I recall the mask, but I didn't want to swear by again if it was like a massive Halloween store, but it looks like it is a dollar store type S that has some Halloween stuff around it. But I think they did a good job. I really like the fake scare tactic of honestly, I really, again, with the acting wise, Bella, when she gets bitten, I love the first time that Riley tells her that she is going to go. And she's like, well, you already made your decision. I love when she's walking out and just hits the can. Then she walks back. Dylan mentioned some of the stuff, but I love the little moments of she will like be looking at Riley to see if Riley's looking at her. She keeps adjusting her hair and stuff like that. And I love that. Like, I feel like you probably know what's going that route, but I feel like I do like the kind of subtle flirting of they're talking about this lingerie and stuff like that. Oh, why would everyone wear that? And then kind of like, oh, I wonder what you would look like that. And like, it is a joke in a sense, but it's still like kind of that like almost innocent flirting. And again, much like a couple of episodes ago with Joel, when they found that diary and Ellie's like, man, people's biggest worry was what they'd wear for school. I kind of like, again, it's similar to that. I feel like, why were anyone even wearing this in those times? Why was this the thing? So I thought Belle's acting and all these type of moments of trying to be, you can tell that she has this crush, but she's kind of scared to go do something. I love the photo booth room and stuff like that. I feel like it sucks because I feel like these two had a really good chemistry, and obviously that's kind of the point. But I don't know how much of episode 1 when they shot one, but I think we talked about this. It's the same thing to me as Joel with his daughter in the first episode. For two actresses that are together probably not that long to like hit it off and to me feel like, okay, I want these people to get out of here already knowing the result's gonna be pretty sad. I thought they did a great job. So I was a big fan of Bella in this episode. I thought she did a home run effort. So
her using the escalator, it really got me too.
That was fun.
It was, just again another one of those moments like the car equivalent where she's just super jazzed by it and just like going up and down, and it's nice to be humbled that such a basic thing that we've all been experienced with is just taken for granted, I guess, or just like highly praised because it's such a cool thing.
And I guess I'm just so like impressed by, and like a lot of kid actors do this too, but I'm just so impressed, like even when they get to the arcade and it fires up and they got to Mortal Kombat, how excited Belle Ramsey acts, and it doesn't come off as like very fake or formulated. It feels like this character's actually excited. So yeah, all around good jobs, Anything else? That expends my notes.
I'm all out.
That's it.
There we go. Well, there you go. I think next week we'll see if Kirkland's back, but next week next week and the week after, I feel like we're gonna have a lot more to talk about because I think
Yeah,
I agree,
definitely.
Dylan, where I feel like this was more of an Ellie episode, a character development episode, but the next two will be in present day and lots of stuff will be popping off with big developments and moments and things like that. So we will be back next week again. If you have eaten Macho Nacho, please let us know. That's our
Yes.
biggest question of the night.
It's very important.
Yeah, but until next week, we'll not be born. See you then.
Bye bye.